Welcome to the Big Profit Energy Podcast. I'm your host, Kim McCarter. Now, I'm going to give you a heads up. This is not your average business talk podcast. Big Profit Energy is all about the raw, the real, and the radical. I'm going to be your guide, your coach, and the voice in your ear, reminding you that you got this. This is your season of Big Profit Energy, where bold moves, brave dreams, and big profits are just the beginning. And as a reminder, baby, you got this.
Yeah.
I really do think that sometimes those of us who coach or provide services within the personal development space do a disservice to ourselves, our audiences, our communities, our clients, and even our peers. That disservice is wrapped around how we not necessarily view the world, but how we walk around in it. In personal development, there are so many conversations about mindset and energy and moving from a lack mindset, a scarcity mindset, a poverty mindset, that sometimes we allow that to color our common sense about the realities of situations. And a lot of times you see this come up, especially for people who are just like moving into trying to cross that $100,000, cross that $500,000 on their way to $1 million. And even when you are operating in high profit earning spaces, and for this particular conversation, I'm deeming that as anyone who is earning over $250,000 a year. And for some people who hear this, $250,000 a year is not a lot of money, especially if you are moving in the space where you've been consistently earning over $1 million a year. But the reality is $250,000 a year, it means you make more money than most of the world. Even if you aren't in the 1%, you definitely make almost 3 times, actually over 3 times, the average household income in the United States. And with the United States being one of the richest countries in the world, and most of the world actually living in a form of poverty, you on the other side of that. Now, of course, when you on that other side of that, it don't always feel that way, but the truth is the truth. And specifically in the coaching space, I think a conversation that really needs to be had, and is usually only had at the kitchen table, but not at the red table, because the red table was a public conversation. These are usually kitchen table conversations, or it's said in passing in content, is that the coaching space has changed. People are not making the investments they used to make as easy in the coaching space. And I'm not just talking about 2020, 2021, where people had stimulus checks and everything was booming in the coaching space. Even prior to COVID, it was a lot easier, or relatively easier, to really gain high-ticket clients. Things like free webinars, challenges, launch cycles, all of those things worked. And while those things can work now, it definitely takes a lot more show up. It takes a lot more effort. It takes a lot more energy. It takes a lot more strategy. And it's taking people a lot more money to earn $1. So if you come from a space where for every $150 you spent, you landed a $5,000 client, right now for a lot of people, it can take them anywhere between $500 and $700 to land that same $5,000 client. And not only that, they are landing fewer of them. And so coming into this year, I really started to think about, like, how did I really want to show up? How did I really want to run my business in this stage of my life? I knew that there were a couple of things I wanted to do. I just wasn't really clicking in my biscuit on how to create the path that I wanted to create. And you know how you always hear people say, don't stray away from things that work. One of the reasons why so many markets are saturated is because it's a proven system. People need it, right? And I don't know what the aha moment was. I don't know what the da-da-da moment was for me. But I just remember waking up one day like, I need to teach my premium digital product strategy. And not only do I need to teach it, I need to speak publicly about this is why I stopped doing sales calls. This is how I stopped doing sales calls. Not only did I stop doing sales calls, I didn't have to rely on free challenges, webinars, complicated lead magnets because I was using my premium digital product strategy. And when I went back and was like, oh my gosh, like, why am I not teaching this? This is perfect, not just for me and how I use it, but honestly, my community needs this. My perfectly aligned client needs this, whether they are in a close proximity program with me, whether they can receive a digital product and do it on their own, whether I'm teaching it in my content in the forefront. I need to have public conversations about this. And I know that that was nothing but the grace of God. I know that that was nothing but Jesus waking me up like, girl, this is what you need to do. I've been laying it at your feet. I've been giving you the hints, but let me make it more blatant. Let me make it more obvious because my daughters need this. My sons need this. This is the conversation that you want to have. If you want to catapult your success, if you want the time freedom, the energy freedom, the money freedom, you need to show other people how to do this because the space that you are in has changed. And in order for y'all to be here 18 to 24 months from now, I need you to show them how to do it. I need you to make it easy. I need you to make it obvious. I need you to give them the step-by-step plan. I need you to show up for them in a way that you've never showed up before. And if you just take the first step, I will continue to order the steps and I will continue to show you the path that you think is hidden, but is not really hidden. I just need you to clear the weeds. I need you to get some clarity. I need you to get some structure, and I need you to get some commitment and focus. And baby, that was a word. I'm speaking to you in this moment, in this episode, but he's really speaking to me and on my heart. And I just want to say, I get it, I accept it, and I will do it. The last couple of weeks, I have spent a lot of time talking about premium digital products and how they help me create high ticket sales. If you haven't been following me on Instagram, the link is in my show notes. Please be sure to do that because I really can honestly say that premium digital products changed my life in 2017. In 2017, I was the most exhausted I had ever been from working. And now that I look back on it, I do think there was a bit of depression in there. There was the bit of anxiety in there. And even though I went to therapy and I wasn't diagnosed with it, I think I was on the brink of it. But I think I had enough wherewithal to pull myself out of it. And I don't mean in a space of being like, hey, I am a high functioning and have depression, or I'm high functioning and have anxiety. I think what it was that I subconsciously recognized the signs and I started to work on myself and I started to get help before it got too far. And now that I look back on that, I can definitely see how that could have aligned with that. And I was exhausted. I was tired, and I was being called to a very new level of life. And going through 2016, it was my first year in entrepreneurship. It was the first year I relied solely on my talent outside of a corporate 9-to-5 payroll employee structure to make money and make sure my bills were paid. And yes, there were moments it was hard. Yes, there were moments where I was like, are we going to make this money? But I persevered and I pushed through. But when I got to the other side of that, I realized like that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to be able to do something differently. And I didn't necessarily know what that differently was going to look like. And I didn't know how to do it differently because I had never been in spaces where people were doing it differently. And I remember talking to my friend Darius from DariusCooks.com, and we were having this same conversation, but from two different sides of the aisle. Where I was doing it in a coaching space, he was doing it as a food blogger. And he was like, I can't even ask no one for help on how to do this dinner series, how to plan this dinner series, how to scale this dinner series, because Kim, no one's never done it before. So even if I was to get a coach, even when I was to get a mentor, they'll be trying to get me to do one thing and I'm being called to do it this way. And there's money over here. So I got to figure it out myself. And after having that conversation with him, and I was started to talk about some of the things I wanted to do, he was like, well, if you can't find the help, then you're going to have to test and figure it out for yourself. And that's what you're going to have to do. There's no way that you've been placed with a vision. There's no way that you've been placed with an idea and it's something that people need and there's no way to do it. You need to figure it out. And that's one of the things I love about my relationship with him, because it really is a relationship of iron sharpens iron. That's someone that I've known over 10 years and someone who I've seen walk through the darkness of social media, walk through the darkness of being an influencer, walk through the darkness with him of understanding and seeing how things played out, but how it was perceived on the internet just because people don't like you. And it reminds me of so many other celebrities who all have their hate sectors. And one of the things that we had to acknowledge in his situation is like, this comes with the territory. There are people who don't like Tabitha Brown. I just started following Tabitha a couple of months ago. I knew who she was. I respected her journey. I respected her thing, but I didn't even follow her. Never bought anything from a Tabitha Brown product, book, or anything. And it would just so happens I seen her on Shannon Sharp and I watched the interview and I was like, oh, I get what people see in her. I really do. Right? And she funny and she cool and I love her. Right? I love her now. Hey, Tab. Why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this because things have changed. We are in an election year. We are in a time when the economy looks a lot different because of interest rates, because of layoffs, because of how the media is talking so much about it that it is making people hold on to their wallets a lot less. We are also in a space where so many people went into entrepreneurship who really didn't have any business in entrepreneurship or weren't prepared for true entrepreneurship, that the landscape looks a lot different. And I don't think that enough of us are having that conversation. And them not having the conversation has nothing to do with them being embarrassed and lacking transparency. I really think them not having the conversation has everything to do with the misskewed interpretation of what it means to operate in a growth mindset. Because if you are operating in your growth mindset, you can't tell people that it's true that money isn't easily available. That goes against everything we talk about when it comes to law of attraction and manifestation and energy work. How dare you say that? You're in a poverty mindset. You're in a scarcity mindset. 2 years ago, it was probably like the end of 2021. And we were crossing over into 2022, was somewhere in there. And I was talking about the economy. And I told everyone, after people were posting about having $1 million years in 2020 and 21, I said, what goes up must come down. I know business. I know human behavior. More importantly, I read things like the Wall Street Journal and Bloomberg. What goes up must come down. You know, even Gary Vee talked about this. And I don't remember where he talked about it at. But Gary Vee said the economy crashes every 10 to 12 years. He was like, the economy is going to crash over the next 2 or 3 years. He said, he talked about the 2008 recession. He talked about what it meant for the auto industries and the housing markets and the banks to collapse and the bounce back, how we rode the wave. And he was talking about this in relationships, I think, to like when all of the cryptocurrencies were going down and when all of the fraud charges and stuff were coming out. I think that was the conversation he was having. I can't really remember. And I was like, that's so true. So I started looking into it. And I had a conversation on live. And I had some reels and some content about it. And people who know me, people who can pick up the phone and call me, were like, you shouldn't tell people that. That's a scarcity mindset. That's a money mindset issue. And y'all, one of the things that is a trigger for me, I'm kind of healed from it. I think I'm doing better now than I was 2 years ago. I did better 2 years ago than I was doing in 2017. Please don't tell me it's a mindset issue and not actually give someone the tools and the steps to correct the mindset. It's a mindset issue. You have to fix your mindset. There's a thing between having a mindset issue and also having a lack of clarity and also facing reality. We can't live in rose-colored glasses so blurred that we don't pay attention to what is right in front of us. And because the coaching space has changed, that does mean that you're going to have to do some things differently. Not only are you going to have to do some things differently because the coaching industry has changed, but as online business owners, the online landscape has changed, technology has changed, social media platforms have changed, and how people interact with social media has changed. So there are so many reasons why you need to do things differently. One of the things you absolutely need to do differently is make sure you have more interactiveness and with your target audience, so that way you can bring them into your community. Your target audience is the big demographic of people that need what you have. Your community is the people who are rocking with your content. Your perfectly aligned clients are the people you work with that bring you joy. You actually need to have something that allows people to have an interactive experience with you. And I'm not necessarily talking about webinars, challenges, live events. I'm talking about long form macro content where they can see you and hear your voice, so that way they can understand your vernacular, they can understand your gestures, your facial expressions, they can see for themselves, hear for themselves that you know what you are talking about, and more importantly, they can see you as having a supporting role in their journey from getting to where they are to where they desire to go. Because when you show up on things like live stream, podcast, and video, they get a chance to really see like, oh my gosh, they know what they're talking about. Oh my gosh, I never thought about it that way. Live stream is going to make a comeback. There are some people who stay consistent with live stream. They're going to be the first people we are actually going to see who are going to get that boost from live stream. There are going to be some people like me who are making their way back to live stream and being ahead of the curve. And we're going to see that boost of what's coming from live stream. And then there are going to be some of you that by the time you realize you need to get on live stream, you're going to be looking around like, oh, we're Periscope. See, now, I didn't disregard Periscope. Periscope was an amazing tool. I never got on Periscope because I focused more on Facebook Live and growing a Facebook community. I have no regrets from being a Periscope girl because something about Periscope just wasn't my vibe. And that's absolutely okay. Now, not only do you need to have some form of video, audio, long form content, you also need to have a way where people can sample a paid experience with you before they make a bigger investment. Listen, when I want to try a new foundation, I go to Sephora or Ulta and I get a sample of that foundation. And the reason why I get a sample is because not only do I need a color match, I need to understand how is it going to oxidify over the day. As I'm wearing it throughout the day, is it going to fade? Is it going to get cakey? Am I going to have to keep touching it up? So I need to wear it for long periods of time before I make a $60, $70 investment in a foundation. If I want a new face cream, before I spend that $200 on Dr. Strom, you best believe I went to Sephora and got me a sample. Before I spend $100, $150 on a perfume, I go in Sephora and I get a sample. The idea that we think that it's okay to walk into these places and say, hey, can I sample that before I buy it? And I don't just want to smell it here. I want you to give me a piece that I can take with me, and I'm going to ride the wave of that sample as long as possible before I come back and give you your money. We do that and we think it's okay because, oh, that's a big box retailer, right? I'm a small business owner, Kim, I can't do that. And this is what I mean by sample. I'm not saying that you need to lower your prices. I'm not saying that you need to go out here and offer $25 sessions, $100 sessions, $1,000 VIP days. But you do need to make sure that you have a premium digital product suite that allows people access to the education, tools, and resources they need to get a result without you being involved, that is based on your energetic framework and your signature high ticket offer. Self-study courses in the 4-figure realm are going to allow you to do just that. Now, everyone isn't going to charge over $1,000 for their self-study thing, and I get that. And that's where the concentrated course comes in. That's going to be anywhere between $400 and $600. Same concept, just not the full learning experience. They get a piece of the pie. Even in a self-study course, they shouldn't get your entire framework, but they should be able to leave that course doing one major thing. Let me tell you why this works so well. Not only do you allow them to get a sample, but you allow them to get a result and transformation that's big enough to change their life, that they realize they want the entirety of the system. But there is some structure that needs to go into that. First of all, you have to know, as a course creator, what are the things that keep people from completing courses? Mindset, money, and time. Okay? And you need to make sure that you actually have mindset built into your self-study programs and built into them in a way where people remember why they came in, they remember why they need to get done, and you do that by making sure that you have very specific lessons strategically placed that is going to get them through the challenge of completing the work that you are assigning to them. The second thing that you also have to make sure is you have to make sure that you have your self-study courses broken down in chunk specific ways that allow them to checklist through really quickly to the end. So as they're implementing. You also need to have strategic placement of your high ticket offer, not blatant, hey, sign up for this, but really seed it throughout the experience so they realize it's a part of a much bigger thing. You also need to make sure you are very clear and aware of who your perfectly aligned client is, because this is going to help you understand how to set up your self-study course for that person. It's going to help you understand what your teaching topic should be, what are the things they're absolutely going to need. It's going to help you understand what additional tools and resources you can include as bundles. Also, it helps you understand, like, what is the format going to be? I started leaning more to audio courses with detailed guidebooks that look like textbooks almost, with graphics and worksheets and explanations inside of it, because my perfectly aligned client, she's a busy woman. Most of the time they are working outside of the home in professional roles. They have children and they're trying to build a business alongside of it. And because my primary core value is time freedom, and I've structured my business in a way that gives me an unprecedented amount of time freedom that I absolutely enjoy and don't force myself to work if I don't want to work, they want that experience. And a lot of times when I first meet people in my community, they don't really understand why time freedom is so important until they have a major life event. I was just listening to what I call one of my little cousin entrepreneur friends. She was on an Instagram live earlier today and she was saying, I didn't understand how important time freedom was going to be until I had my son. And I told her in the comments, I love that for you because no one could tell you different. And she was like, you were the first person that told me about time freedom, and I didn't get it because I was a high performer and I was someone who was like, I'm gonna work until I reach the goal. And that is just not about being a high performer. That's also about the cultural agreements and the expectations that have been placed on Black American women since slavery. It has been passed down to us for generations that we have to work 10 times as harder, be 3 times as smarter just to compete with the mediocrity of non-Black Americans. And I'm not saying non-Black just to hover over Caucasian Americans. I'm saying non-Black Americans. I don't care if you're Asian. I don't care if you're Latina. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're Native American. For generations, for centuries, it has been passed down that Black people are lazy, and we are not. A lot of times we are just tired. A lot of times we are just like, why can't we ride the wave? Why can't we ride the coattail? Here's what's going on. So this podcast episode is going to come out on Monday. And Monday, I believe, is April 1st. And this is not an April Fool's joke, but I want you to follow me over on Instagram because I'm actually starting a new live stream series called The Hidden Path to High Ticket Sales. And I'm going to be talking about building out a premium digital product suite. And I want you to tune into that series so you can sit with me while I have an in-depth conversation on how you can increase your high ticket sales using premium digital products. Then I also want you to sign up for my next workshop that is happening on April 7th. On April 7th, I am having a workshop where that's a Sunday. Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm hosting a workshop where I'm going to show you how to structure and sell a premium price self-study course that can increase your high ticket sales. And not only do we want it to increase your high ticket sales, we want you to be able to bring in a minimum of $3,000 a week with a self-study course. And I'm going to be talking to you in that workshop also about how you don't have to divide the audience while you are doing this. Your premium digital products need to run parallel to your high ticket stuff. That way you can sell under one umbrella and one centralized theme. One of the things I really want to work on inside of the workshop is your structure. Knowing whether you should use audio or video and teaching you how to create a great guidebook that goes along with your self-study course to make sure that you have everything you need in order to be able to sell it. And I'm also going to teach you my hybrid coaching method. My hybrid coaching method is how you use a self-study course inside of your high ticket offer. Because another thing I want y'all to get out of the habit of is relying on launches to make money. I really want you to start selling your high ticket in evergreen. And I'm going to show you how to use my hybrid coaching method with a self-study course to do just that. I've been selling self-study courses since 2015. My first self-study course was 5K Profit Academy. And I created it just to be a course for people. And what was happening was when people were going through it, they actually were asking me if they can also book a session with me. And I realized that that 5K Profit Academy was really everything I was already teaching in VIP days. So whenever someone signed up for a VIP day, they also got access to my self-study course. I have definitely evolved how I do that over the years, and it became the base of my hybrid coaching method. I taught my clients to start using this process when they create their own high ticket products, whether that's one-on-one or group or mastermind. So I'm actually going to show you how your self-study course is going to be directly tied to your high ticket offers, making your high ticket offers essentially more efficient for you, including VIP days. So I definitely think that you should attend that workshop. The workshop is going to also be listed inside of the show notes. If you're on my email list, you'll also get access to sign up for that workshop. If you're listening to this episode, there's a link in the show notes where you can actually save a bit of money on the workshop. I don't know exactly how long that coupon code is going to last, so you definitely want to make sure you sign up expeditiously. Don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, so that way you can join me for the hidden path to high ticket sales, where I'm going to be talking more about premium digital products and also having a social selling machine that does all the heavy lifting in your business. And most importantly, the thing I want you to remember is you got this, baby. You got this.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Big Profit Energy. I want you to remember, your power and success are in your hands. Keep channeling your main character energy, and don't forget to manifest your dreams into reality. Until next time, stay empowered, stay inspired, and keep igniting that big profit energy. Be sure to hit subscribe for more, and let's keep this energy flowing. I'll see you on the next episode of Big Profit Energy.